Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are doing my 21-week pregnancy update. So in today's video we are going to be talking about baby development, my physical symptoms, my mental health symptoms. We're going to do a belly shot at the end, and I'm also going to tell you about my most recent scan and my most recent consultant appointment, which has affected our opinions on how we think this baby is going to be delivered. So first things first, and I'm going to tell you guys about baby development for 21 weeks pregnant. So the arms and legs are now in proportion, and the baby's liver and spleen have been working hard at producing blood cells, but the bone marrow spaces are now mature enough that they are also able to help out. So taste buds are also developing with baby, so anything I eat they can then taste in the amniotic fluid. So they do say that you can kind of encourage healthy eating habits with toddlers and stuff in the future with eating healthily during pregnancy. I'm not sure how much that's true. I am generally quite a healthy eater, and I would say that my kids just generally have still gone through that picky stage of not liking vegetables and stuff, so I don't know how much that really influences them. It maybe does work, but obviously it hasn't worked so much for my own children. So moving on now to talk about my physical symptoms. So I wouldn't say that I've had loads of actual physical symptoms that have really been a big issue. I can definitely tell that my bump is sitting right under my ribs now, so that's a little bit uncomfortable, but actually my joint pains and stuff have definitely eased. They don't seem to be impacting me and causing me as much pain for whatever reason, so I'm very grateful for that. The biggest issue I've had is sleep, and I think I did mention this in last week's video, but for some reason I just cannot stay asleep. I'm really struggling, so I'm really tired during the day, which then makes me a little bit cranky, which I think my husband would probably agree with. But yeah, I don't know what is wrong. I've kicked my husband out of the bed. He's been sleeping on the sofa so that I can try and actually get some good quality sleep, but I'm still really struggling to stay asleep. I am starting to come to the conclusion that possibly I'm waking up because I need the toilet, but I'm really stubborn, and I actually just really don't want to get out of bed, so I'm kind of refusing to get out of bed. So I might wake up at like, I mean I don't ever check the time because I know that's the worst thing you can do, but I feel like it's maybe 4 in the morning or something, and I probably need the toilet and I don't go, so then obviously I'm just waking up constantly for maybe 4 hours, whereas if I just got up out of bed, went to the toilet, came back, I'd probably then have a better night's sleep. So I am going to try to actually, I feel like I'm at that point in pregnancy where I'm going to have to just accept that I'm going to need the toilet and I'm going to have to get out of bed. And at least at the moment, while my husband is sleeping downstairs, it is slightly easier for me to crawl out of bed and go to the toilet. So one thing that's a physical symptom, and I don't really know if it's pregnancy related or if it's a COVID thing with, not that I have COVID, but because of all the hand sanitizer and constant hand washing, but I do seem to have really dry hands at the minute. And I know that they do say there is gender myths about whether you have dry hands during pregnancy, so I don't know if it is a pregnancy related thing, but obviously I'm using a lot of hand sanitizer if I'm going to shops or I'm washing my hands a lot, so it could be that, and generally my skin is very dry. But it is also getting to that time of year when we've got the heating on a lot, and then it's cold and stuff outside, or sometimes it's cold, and then obviously that dries out your skin, so it could just be environmental factors and not pregnancy related. Yeah, I don't know really what's going on with my skin, but it could be pregnancy related. I don't know. We will see how it goes. And that's about it for physical symptoms, so moving on to talk about my mental health. As you guys know, I have not been in a great place recently. I would say that from Fabian having last week off work completely, it did make a difference. I wouldn't say I'm back to normal. I'm not completely stable to the level that I would like to be, but I do feel a lot better. I'm quite confident that I'm not going to go back downhill, not to the extent I was before, which is good. I feel like I'm managing a little bit better, and also I think the peace of mind of knowing that this baby is healthy has made a big difference. That was a big factor for us with being pregnant after having a baby that passed away, and knowing that her bad kind of news came at 20 weeks, and obviously we are now at 22 weeks today, so we're well past that, and we know that this baby is completely healthy and is showing absolutely no signs. So that has given me a lot of peace of mind as well, that I feel that I am more confident. I'm going to be a lot calmer over the next few months leading up to baby being born. So in the last week, something that was actually making me really anxious, but I do think now that we've kind of adjusted a little bit, it's been 3 days now of Bo going to school, which is his first time going to school. Obviously I'm a very nervous mum, so it was a big deal for me, but now that we're getting into that routine, I feel confident that we're actually starting to get a routine, and we always make sure we do like bath and book and bed after school and stuff. I'm really confident that we're going to have a good routine by the time this baby comes. So in that sense, I actually feel like I've got a bit of peace of mind looking forward to the future when baby is here, that I think over the next few months we're really going to settle down. Our family life is going to settle down, which is just really reassuring for me. And of course it does give me that time at the moment, because I was really struggling with managing the 2 kids whilst Fabian went to work, that he is obviously now at school. I only have 1 child to manage. It's a lot easier with me being pregnant, just being tired, and it's just hard getting up and down all the time when the kids want drinks, or like Lani's trying to eat stickers and stuff, and then Buzz trying to steal toys off her. It's just so much easier only having to manage 1 kid at the minute. So I am grateful that he has gone back to school, and I think physically from a pregnancy point of view that is going to make life so much easier. One thing that I kind of forgot to mention last week was that something that was really difficult the week before was that when I got admitted to the hospital for my mental health, and we were waiting to see the crisis team, which then we were on the day unit, the maternity day unit. But one thing I forgot to mention was the fact that we actually had to walk past SCBU, which is like special care baby unit, and like NICU, which is neonatal intensive care unit, and we actually had to walk past that and past the room, and just there was a lot of reminders of Silver. So we walked past the SCBU that Silver passed away in. It was where she lived, it was where she spent her 16 days. So that was really triggering, and I do think in some ways I'm so glad we chose Newcastle Hospital, but at the same time I can see how it is going to be difficult, and I can see how in the future I'm still going to really struggle with the fact that there's a good chance that where I was when I was admitted is actually where you go before having a C-section, and I'm going to have to walk past SCBU, and even though I had a mask on and the doors were shut, you could smell the same smell. It smelled like Silver. It was a very difficult thing to go to have all these memories. So I'm still thankful for the hospital we've chosen, but I do think it's going to be something that's going to bring up a lot of memories throughout this pregnancy, and it will be difficult in some senses, but I do feel confident that we've actually chose a hospital that we believe and trust in, which is most important. And because of the amazing care that they gave Silver, actually that's the reason we chose that hospital. So it is kind of worth going and walking past these places that bring back these really hard memories, and it's just a case of trying to find ways to focus on the positive memories that we had with her. But yeah, that's just something that I kind of forgot to mention. So moving on now to talk about my appointment with my consultant and the 20-week anomaly scan. So Newcastle actually redid the anomaly scan that we'd had done at our local hospital. They have better technology, and they have this thing that they can do that they have to do within a certain window, but it's called a uterine artery Doppler. Basically they get these numbers, and whatever the numbers are, it has to be below a certain number, and basically these numbers can to a certain extent predict if you are going to have early onset growth restrictions. And we did actually have growth restrictions in our last pregnancy, and we had growth issues with Silver's pregnancy, so it was really reassuring that they had the technology to do that, which they just didn't have at my local hospital. And thankfully the numbers came back normal, so it's not completely out of the question that this baby wouldn't have growth issues, but they said it's highly unlikely and that there's no indicating factors at the minute that would suggest we're going to have any growth issues, which is a big peace of mind for us, because obviously that affected when we had to deliver in our last pregnancy at 37 weeks. Looking at the baby, they checked all the measurements, everything was fine. It had a really fat belly. They gave me the scan report and it shows like the percentiles on each measurement, and all the percentiles of all the other measurements were around the 50th percentile, apart from the belly, which was like way higher up on the spectrum. And she did actually say it's got a chubby little belly, but not abnormal or anything, so it's obviously just a little fatty in there. But yeah, we just thought it made us laugh, so it was funny to see when I actually saw the scan report that it literally was like really up at the other end of the spectrum compared to all the other measurements. But apparently it was normal, so that's the most important thing. It's a healthy little baby in there, which is obviously everything we could ever want. So moving on to talk about the actual consultant appointment. So she actually decided to go through with me and show me the exact report of what she'd received from our local hospital based on my previous surgery that I'd had, because I knew there was scar issues. So I'm going to obviously delve into that a little bit now. Basically, the surgery notes that she received suggested that I had, I don't know how to say it, it's like scar dehiscence or something. I'll like put it across the bottom of the screen so you can read it and Google it if you want to. And she basically explained what that meant. It means my scar had come apart, which they found when they opened up my incision site to get Leilani out, but obviously I already had a scar from my previous C-section, and basically that scar had come apart. There is a chance that there may have been a thin layer that was just not visible, but as far as she was aware, it basically meant that my scar had come apart, and the only difference between what they've wrote on the thing compared to a scar rupture is that Lani would have been out of the uterus, so she could have been in my abdominal cavity and would have actually left my womb. So kind of my waters and stuff had kept her inside my uterus. So that's the only difference of how she explained it to me, which when obviously that's explained to you, and this hospital is 2 hours away. She then explained the risks, and because of what has happened in my previous surgery, she didn't feel comfortable even with a non-hormonal induction. So if I did really want a VBAC, she would have been suggesting natural labour as the safest option. The only problem, like I say, it's 2 hours away. That's a big risk of being in labour with there's still a high risk, or not a high risk, but a heightened risk of a rupture. And I don't want to be like, we have to go over the moors to get to this hospital. I don't want to be stuck on the moors where there's no hospitals, no phone signal, and I am then in intense pain and my scar's ruptured. I don't want to lose another baby. So personally, I'm at the point, I just don't think it's going to be safe to even really consider a VBAC. She's still open to kind of seeing how this pregnancy progresses, but the more I think about it, the more I'm leaning more towards having a planned, peaceful C-section rather than the risks that are involved with an emergency section and the risks that are involved with possibly having an attempted VBAC that could go wrong. Obviously, there is every chance that it could go right and I could have a wonderful VBAC, but the risk, because of how far away this hospital is, I just can't risk losing a baby, and because I already have lost a baby in the past, it's just not a risk. I don't think I just couldn't, I can't risk that, you know. So I honestly think we are going to be looking at a C-section, unfortunately, which I'm really not happy about. It's one of the things I was most upset about when I first found out I was pregnant. If you look back at when I did my pregnancy test, which I'll link that video, but one of the first things that I kind of cried about and was upset about was the fact I would have to have another surgery. And the more I'm thinking about it, the more I just think I need to just kind of come to terms with it, and I think I am coming to terms with it, and I just think it's probably safer. But she was wonderful at kind of explaining a lot of things, answering questions for me. explaining how C-sections work. She just went over and answered so many questions for me and really put my mind at ease, that I felt respected, and it was a really productive, positive appointment. And we are just going to still see how this pregnancy progresses, how growth progresses. I am actually testing now for diabetes. I'm meant to be testing once a week, so just so that we can catch it early, because I had gestational diabetes in my last pregnancy and they're not really comfortable with leaving it until 28 weeks to do another blood test. They'd rather catch it as soon as possible so then we can manage it. So I'm meant to be doing once a week a fasting reading, which is when I first wake up before I've eaten anything, and then on the same day I'm meant to take a reading after I've had a meal. So they've given me a thing with the little pinprick needle things, whatever they're called, and a blood reader thing. I don't know what they're called, like diabetes reader things that I prick my finger. And yeah, I just do the 2 readings once a week, and then if I have any high readings then I would just test again the next day, and I think that's how it kind of works. But it's basically, we just want to make sure we're constantly taking precautions. I really respect the fact that she spoke to the diabetes team, and she's always seems to be speaking with other consultants, and she's always trying to get me the best possible care, and she seems really interested in coordinating with other people that are specialists in their own subject and stuff. So I really like that even though I said I really didn't feel comfortable and didn't want to do that, when she's then gone and spoke to them and then come back to me and said, actually we really think this would be a safer thing to do. And then I felt more like it's been a respectful discussion between us. So in that sense I'm comfortable. I've learned how to use this new device, and I'm comfortable that I can manage to prick my finger 2 times once a week. So I think that's everything for now. I think I've done far too much talking, and it's about time we had a look at my belly and see how it's growing. Okay, so from the front, this is what it looks like. It always seems so slimming when I wear black. It looks so like small. I'll show you in a minute, but yeah, if you can kind of see, it doesn't help because the camera is so far away now. Without my glasses I'm just like, I can kind of see the shapes, but that's about it. So hopefully you guys can tell, but then I would have thought it's a lot more obvious like this, and then from the front, and then if you can see it from the side, and there you go. That is my 21 weeks belly. So thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate your support. If you did like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe down below. And actually, if you have any suggestions of pregnancy related videos that you'd like to see, I'd love to have you comment down below, because I want to make the most of this pregnancy. I don't know if this will be my last pregnancy. I'm super undecided about that. So I want to make the most and do some fun pregnancy related videos. So do comment down below if you have any ideas of what I could possibly do. And I hope to see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.